One, everyone goes into film school thinking they're going to be the next writer, director, cinematographer. The film itself is a ginormous industry that requires a gazillion different professions. Yeah, the best thing film school does, or at least for me, is that it gave me a sense of confidence amongst my peers to both try and fail. But if you can overcome that, then I'd say you're 25% into succeeding at both film school and being a filmmaker. There are certain equations. If you want to make money, then this is the structure of screenwriting to make money. AI is used a lot in sort of the initial pre-visualization of a scene. When it comes to writing a feature, I don't write anything until I've thought about the movie in its entirety.
How about give me an update with what you have been doing, lately?
Oh, okay. Are we live right now? Are we recording?
Yeah, we are.
All right. What have I been doing? Well, I've just been working. I'm a production assistant here locally in
Mm-hmm.
Oahu. I've been working for about a year and a half. Fairly consistency, absent the strike or strikes. Um, Currently working on a project, a television show that's pretty exciting. Um, we're going to be, starting to ramp things up here soon, and we're excited to show everyone what we've been working on. We've been working hard on it. So yeah,
Are you a
so we're
PA on
pretty
that one?
excited. Yes, I'm a art department PA.
All right, right up in your alley.
Yeah, so sticking with the visual aesthetic sort of things. But it's familiar, but it's also challenging. Television's is so incredibly fast paced. Every week is like a movie.
Right.
So it's been incredibly challenging. My previous two projects, one of which is out, Vacation Friends 2, on Hulu, um, have been films, which has a bit of a slower pace. It's a bit more methodical, while television is chaos week in, week in and week out.
So how about we start with the art since we're talking about the art department. Can you tell people or tell whoever's watching what the art department is on the set? What they do?
So the art department, and it's kind of a broad term because it encompasses multiple departments. Basically, when we say the art department, we're talking about the visual aesthetic of a film, which includes costumes, props, set decoration, and also design. Um, the design element is what I'm mostly affiliated with in assisting. Um, so yeah, it's pretty much establishing the visual aesthetic, interpreting the page to uh, what's essentially the eye. Um, it's taking what's not necessarily said and building a world from it. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of creativity is involved. Um, I'm continually surprised about all the different elements that fall within this kind of departmental branch. Um, yeah, I love art a lot. It wasn't our training at UH. They don't at the time. They did not offer any sort of production design courses
Mm-hmm.
or anything in the visual aesthetic outside of cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it was kind of a crash course, but it's been a real education. It's been really interesting, um, and I feel like it's helped inform my writing a lot more. I haven't written as consistency as I'd love to, but knowing what's in frame visually ahead of time as you're writing it, kind of being able to design a set as you're putting pen to paper is pretty cool and it's pretty interesting. And it's not something that's commonly in screenplays. You don't see a lot of art direction in screenplays because it's bulky and it would just make reading a lot longer. But it's pretty integral. I think it's very cool, and it's actually a change that I would like to see in screenwriting is more art and set decoration and direction within the screenplay itself. And it's not a play.
Right, right,
So
right. And so you mentioned about the visual aesthetic of a film. Now, I think my mind directly go to the DP, right? A lot of
right.
times we talk about visual aesthetics. We're talking about the cinematography, and then probably the DP will call the shots for that. Do you work closely with the DP, or you just break down the script?
Yeah, so a lot of times the department heads, the production designer, and the set decorator will work in conjunction with the cinematographer very closely to establish the shot. You know, if the production designer and the set decorator are building the frame, the cinematographer is establishing the gravity within the frame. So yeah, they very much work in conjunction with each other. You know, you can't have gravity without space, and you can't have space without gravity. And so, you know, they work in harmony with each other, really.
Right, right, right. So, um, you mentioned a little bit we didn't really have a. I guess the programs we studied at, they didn't really teach us a specific role. Like if you want to be a set designer, they didn't have a set designer course for you to just take and then to learn all about set design, right?
Right.
It was more of the mean, director, writer, whatever. That's something I talked about with Cody in our first podcast as well. And yeah, and then moving on to talk about screenwriting, I think lately I've been watching this YouTuber. His name is Local. I mean I think he kind of blew up like within the last couple of months. His video, he just does writing essays or video essays, talk about writing because he's a script doctor, right? I think that's what he went to school for. And I just feel like some of the stuff I learned from him, I'm like, how come I didn't learn that from school? I feel like I'm scammed. Um, and then this whole time when I went to school learning about screenwriting, I was thinking, oh, I have to write this beautiful piece of literature so when people read it, they can feel a certain way. They can, I have to be precise with my language. I have to be poetic at some point. But he was just like, oh, not necessarily. You really need to just communicate with the different different people who are looking at the script, letting them know what's going on. It's kind of like a manual for
Yeah.
the film, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's kind of like there's a line from Pirates of the Caribbean where they're referencing the Pirates Code, and they say, well, you know, it's more like guidelines, really. And it's basically what a screenplay is. It's a guideline to take you through production. Um, yeah, I mean, it's interesting, you know, we both went to the University of Hawaii. You know, I think we should preface by saying that the film school's kind of in its infancy. You know, it's not as established as you would say your US continental film schools. Um, but I found a lot of value in its education, and I think within time that UH will become a cinematic beacon in the Pacific. Um, but I do think, you know, it's not without criticism, and I think um, it would do well to kind of steer away from the Western ideology of both education and filmmaking and lean more towards a indigenous and Eastern ideology of filmmaking and education.
See,
Um,
this is why I like talking to you. Okay, can I just say that was simply beautifully put? You're talking about UH. If I was gonna say that, I would be like, yeah, the program kind of lacked certain things, but I
yeah,
really enjoyed it. But you put it very beautifully. Um,
yeah. I
sorry.
mean, well, I
Mhm.
think I mean, my only experience in film school is as a student, but in my education as a production assistant, I think it would behoove film schools to be a bit more honest. One, you know, everyone goes into film school thinking they're going to be the next writer, director, cinematographer. The film itself is a ginormous industry that requires a gazillion different professions, from administrative to clerical to transportative to, you name it. There's,
Construction.
yeah, yeah, there's a gazillion, there's a gazillion jobs, and quite honestly, there's elements of every other profession you can find within filmmaking. So almost everybody at a base level has some sort of filmmaking experience. Um, and I think film schools aren't inherently honest about that. And now with the emergence of social media as a form of narrative, you know, film school needs it. It should film schools need to up its creative standards, um, while maintaining an integrity about the business itself. Not everyone's going to be Hoyt van Hoytma, or or you know Wolfgang Peterson or somebody. I don't know, but
Yeah, I think you're on the spot with that. And yeah, we keep talking about this with people who went to the same program with us. And at least when I talk to them, I realize really what I value the most out of the film school was the connections, right? It's the connections, the
yeah,
friendship I built through the program, and then maintaining those friendship, right? And develop them, and that's what I think. Film school is worth it, is to network, right? To meet people who are dreaming about the same thing and then wanted to achieve the same thing.
yeah, yeah. The best thing film school does, or at least for me, is that it gave me a sense of confidence amongst my peers to both try and fail, and then try to again to succeed. Um, that's one of the most important things. One thing, if you do go into film school, is that you do need confidence. The confidence to fail. You you know, can't go in putting some sort of internal pressure to be like, Martin Scorsese or something. Just, it's just about putting something out there. Um, and that's a big hurdle to overcome, because what you're putting out there is a significant piece of yourself. And when you do that, of course, you open yourself up to, judgment and conjecture and criticism. So that's a giant hurdle. Um, but if you can overcome that, then I'd say you're 25% into succeeding at both film school and being a filmmaker.
Yeah, I mean that's largely what filmmakers are, right? You put your work out there, people are gonna watch it, and then it's about
Yeah.
the message you want to spread, right? Less about what people have to say about your work.
Right. But I also think from a filmmaking perspective, from a screenwriting perspective, um, you need to be honest with yourself about who you're writing or making this for. If you're making this to make money, which is okay, people do that. It's the way of the world, is to make money. Then your script needs to be structured in a way that is similar to that. And this is something that they didn't teach at film school. Is that there's multiple roads to getting to selling a script. There's no definitive way, but there are certain equations. If you want to make money, then this is the structure of screenwriting to make money. If you want to have, sort of a indie artistic expression, well, then the structure is significantly more loose. Um, and vice versa. One thing that I think every film school, particularly UH, should have is, it's more of a focus on the cinematic arts, but it's such a broad topic, the cinematic arts, that should expand to a sort of broadcasting department as well. I think, especially here in Hawaii, one of the biggest film or television drivers is local news, local programs, and particularly sports photography, sports documentary. These are avenues that needs to be open at the University of Hawaii. The way it's kind of set up right now is that it sets people up to accomplish an undergraduate degree and then pursue greater things elsewhere. because the road narrows. You know, there's no train to take you to the next step here in Hawaii. So, the University of Hawaii has to build a train yard first.
Yeah, which is a very
Um,
hard job to do, right?
yeah, yeah, and it takes time. It takes a significant amount of time. But if I were looking to compete on a global stage, then I'd say the School of Cinematic Arts needs to broaden itself to just be a school of creative media, or perhaps an academy of creative media.
I know you've written a couple of
Right.
feature scripts, and do you have any tips for people who are looking to, start to write a screenplay or try to write a story?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you know, disclaimer, I've written features, but I've never sold a feature.
Well, I think
So,
they're pretty good. So,
uh, the first thing, I don't know, for me, I can only speak for myself. When it comes to writing a feature, I don't write anything until I've thought about the movie in its entirety. Now, I might write down a sentence or two as a note just to not forget, but I don't actually put pen to paper until I've at least gotten several main plot points just thought about diligently and religiously until I, have a bit more of a clear path of how to connect to these different beat points, plot points. Your first draft doesn't have to be good. It's not going to be good. But the most important thing you can do in a first draft is complete it. If you've completed a feature, then you've already put yourself in a league of screenwriting that others have not achieved because you've completed a feature, which is a significant achievement. Um, Not to take anything away from shorts. Shorts is, I love shorts. I don't like writing them, but I do appreciate them. Um, but when it comes to writing features, a lot of times, like in courses from peers, what I've seen is the you run into a roadblock of, well, I've got 30 pages, but now I don't know where to go, or this or this or this. And a lot of times, sometimes that comes down to a organizational structural issue. Some people need to, you got to hit those certain points. The easiest way I could tell people is look at Joseph Campbell's Journey of the Hero. It's a 12-step program, 12-step program to write a narrative that pretty much just lists the beat points out for you. Um, that's probably, when I took my very first screenwriting class at Consumnes River College in South Sacramento, which was one of the things we first learned about was the journey of the hero. Uh, and if you're going to write film, then you have to watch film, and if you're going to write features, then you have to write features, and you have to watch a lot of features, particularly about the genre of film that you're going to write. Each genre presents different beats and different tropes and stuff. And it's important that if you're going to play with genre, before you break the rules, you have to understand the rules. So, I mean, screenwriting is a complicated thing because there's an equation for success, but then again, the equation for success isn't always successful, and it doesn't always present the amount of artistic expression that you would like to, or it doesn't, create the narrative that you would like to. But then again, that comes to, who am I writing this for? If you're writing this for yourself, then that structure doesn't necessarily matter. Um, so the keys to screenwriting is one, honesty with yourself. Who am I writing this for? Um, Two, it's diligent research, and it's patience. You don't be frustrated if you've gotten to 35 pages and you hit a wall. That's okay. Don't be frustrated if you get to 60 pages and you've hit them all. That's okay too. It takes time to, creatively think of things, and, people have lives.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, 100%.
so that's why, often I don't start writing thing until I thought of something in its entirety, just because it's so time consuming to write
It is. It
that
is.
if you hit that hurdle, then you just feel like you've wasted time. So for me personally, I like to just sit on something and let it marinate and stew for a bit before I actually put pen to paper. But that works for me. It doesn't mean it works for everyone else. Like I know people that have to map it out
Right,
religiously.
right,
No,
right, right,
this is what happened on page 10, and this is our inciting incident, and
right,
they
right, right.
go through that sort of structure, and that's what helps them. And, I would say if that helps them and that helps you, then go for it.
I know you read a lot as well, right? Do you think
Yeah.
reading helps?
Not as
Reading
much as I
books?
did, but yeah. Yeah, reading is immensely important. It's a lot like watching film. If you're gonna write screenplays, it behooves you to read screenplays. And I also, and this is my personal belief, that I think if you're going to write screenplays or any sort of medium, then you need to read literature. Uh, you need to read classic literature. You need to read modern literature. You should read popular literature like graphic novels and comic books and manga. And you should go from Mark Twain to Stan Lee, and from Geoffrey Chaucer to, I don't know, somebody, Mario Puzo. Uh, like the more you take in, the more you are increasing your skill set, your perk tree. If this is like Skyrim and you have a perk tree, you're increasing your experience points with every literature piece of literature that you read, and your skill points then accumulate and grow. So that's just my preference. I mean, again, disclaimer, I've never sold a screenplay, but
No, I honestly, um, I think a person like me would come to you ask for these kind of advice because I've read your screenplay before and I know your ability to being able to complete a screenplay. That's something I don't have, so I would be coming to you ask for advice. And I think there's a lot of people like me um, out there who are looking for these type of advice, right? So I think whatever you said was tremendously helpful if someone wants to start a screenplay, and if they're going into film school or if they're trying to do something with it. Is it being used in the industry now, AI?
yes, well, AI is always, has always been prevalent. Um, AI is used a lot in sort of the initial pre-visualization of a scene. Just to give you that initial sort of visual concept, a very abstract sort of visual concept that is then narrowed down, typically, in my experience, by human beings that are then, developed and expanded upon that. Um, I mean, I feel like the AI issue is a bit overblown. Um, I think it's easier to swim with the current than against it. But that being said, of course, with new technology, there should always be, even though I'm hesitant to call it new technology because it's not, it's old technology. Um, but it's a very complicated issue. Um,
It's worth another video.
it's very complicated. I'm not opposed to the use of artificial intelligence, mainly because, it's technology is to film, you cannot separate filmmaking and technology. And, it's a matter of how this technology is used.
um so real quick before we hop into the end here, I've been asking people I'm talking to some the same question. What advice would you give yourself uh 10 years ago? Like, I mean, where were you 10 years ago? Were you here?
I don't know, 10 years ago, 2014, I was working at a Menards in Nebraska selling lumber.
Okay. Well, did you already know you were gonna go to film school by then?
It was a dream. It was a dream, but it wasn't necessarily a realized one, or one that I was even necessarily ready to pursue, but it was a dream. Um, but then again, 10 years ago, I was very ignorant about filmmaking. Um, I didn't, if you would have told me that there was a on-set department and a offset department, and and often the two don't as mingle as much as, one would assume, I would have blown my mind. But uh, you know, advice I would have given to myself 10 years ago, uh, just, when you recognize the moment, trust your gut instinct and make a move and have that confidence and have the confidence to fail. Um, because oftentimes you'll surprise yourself and end up succeeding. And you never know what could come from that. So that would be the advice to myself. I don't know if I'm the best advice giver, but
No,
I
that's
reckon
good.
that's what I'm saying to myself.
Yeah, that's great. So, um, it really is very good to catch up with you and talk about the stuff you're currently working on. I know we haven't had time to see each other in person, but I think it will be soon. Whether it's to hang out or grab something to eat, right? To
Yeah, we
chat,
gotta hang out, go to the movies or something.
100%. And I appreciate you very much. You definitely have been uh, one of the people who inspires me in many ways in writing, in filmmaking, and in just the way you approach life. So I appreciate you for being here doing this with me, and then wish you the best for all the other things that you're working on right now and that we can't talk about. Um, but yeah, I'm sure we'll have to talk about it in a video format when it comes out, right? When all those programs
Yeah,
comes
right,
out.
man.
Yeah,
I would
there's
love to.
there's a lot to unpack, right? I'm sure about the set, but yeah. So where can people best reach out to you if I don't know if they want to read your screenplay or they want to uh, I don't know. I feel like you can be a very good script doctor.
The best place to reach me, come to the southern side of Honolulu and hang around Kaimuki. You may see me every now and then. Um, just pop by, say hi. I'm not really big into social media anymore. I'm starting to wean myself off of that.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
but I guess stereotypically, I'm keeping it kind of local. So if you run into me, please say hi.
Well,
That'd be very awkward, but I will say hi back.
all right.
Uh, but yeah, no, I really appreciate you having me on and having this conversation. It was a good conversation as always. I miss having these. We should have these more frequently again. And
100%.
yeah, man, we should hang out soon, go to the movies, go grab some food, talk story, do whatever.
All right. Well, I appreciate you, Quinn.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.